As we look to reopen schools during these uncertain times, how do you respond to the emotional toll that COVID has taken on our school communities? As many educators will point out, they're not therapists, yet they're expected to know what to do. And what about teachers and staff and their needs for support and care? Here are a few suggestions to authentically address student and staff emotional needs while strengthening your school community. Last week, a teacher told me that during one of their online lessons, a student shared how happy he was that his grandfather was out of the hospital and recovering from the coronavirus at home. While the class was expressing happiness for him, the teacher knew that just days before, another student's grandmother died of COVID-19. I recently spoke to an elementary school principal who said that nearly 1/3 of her students are facing eviction from their homes because their parents have lost their jobs. And another high school principal told me that she's receiving regular text messages from students asking where they can get food for their families. These educators all feel overwhelmed with the extreme needs of their students, both emotionally and tangibly. As a teacher or principal, how do you respond to such drastically different needs in your class and at your school? As many educators will point out, they're not therapists, yet they're expected to know what to do in these kinds of situations. As we look to reopen schools during these uncertain times, here are a few suggestions to authentically address the student and staff emotional needs while strengthening your school community. First, acknowledge extreme variety of people's experiences. As we look at welcoming back students amidst all of this trauma and loss, we can't simply say, open your books to page 20, pick up your pencils, let's go. So without judgment, we really need to acknowledge that there's extreme variations in our students' experiences and emotions. Some kids spent weeks in loneliness and isolation, and they're jubilant at the thought of being back, while other students basked in the comfort of their families and they're paralyzed with anxiety at the thought of rejoining the stressful school environment. Some students lost loved ones while others saw them recover. Some parents lost jobs and housing while others worked from home and enjoyed spending more time with their children. Some students struggled with remote learning and accomplished pretty much nothing, while others thrived academically. By not blanketing the entire experience as good or bad, we can model to students an aspect of resiliency, holding both the positives and the negatives as equally valid to our experience. 2. Create safety and routine. Those of us versed in positive behavior interventions and supports, PBIS, know that setting school-wide expectations and gaining consistency among adults helps students feel safe. Even in normal circumstances, students thrive in environments that are structured, predictable, and calm. When a trauma occurs, either personally or in the community, children benefit greatly from the reassurance that their classroom and their school is a safe, stable place. We teach students expected behaviors and routines through structured lessons, not just on the first day of school, but throughout the year. And when students return to school, they'll benefit a lot from learning how the school operates even in the mundane, like how to be safe on the playground and how we show respect by putting our cell phones away, or how to be responsible by coming prepared to class and ready to learn. It's okay to resume academic lessons. I had one school principal tell me that she was advised not to teach for 6 weeks upon return and just do social-emotional stuff. Sure, we don't need to jump in on the first day with super high academic expectations, but kids want routine and normalcy to learn, to be engaged. Just balance it with other supportive activities. Dust off your PBIS expectation matrix and teach it to the kids. It'll help everyone calm down and feel more comfortable at school. 3. Try classroom circles. Despite the temptation to not open a can of worms, allowing your students to process what's happening around them in a safe and accepting environment is vital to learning. The same goes for teachers and staff. Consider having a welcome back circle for them to sit with their colleagues and friends and process their experience as well. In a circle, the community shares thoughts, feelings, and experiences in a structured way so that they can create connections and increase belonging. Circles can be community building, full of positive activities designed to connect classmates, but they can also be used to respond to difficult events and solve problems. A circle creates a container to hold big feelings and tough experiences while offering hope and mutual support. By holding regular classroom circles, the classroom community provides solace and support without the teacher having to shoulder all the weight and worry on their own. On my blog at lauramoiman.com, I have a free downloadable script to hold your own classroom circle. Welcome back from quarantine. 4. Know when to get help for a student. You might be wondering, what do I do if a student says their grandparent died or some other heartbreaking disclosure in a circle? In the context of the community circle, you do this: nothing. If a child discloses something concerning, such as a significant loss or potential abuse, after the circle, you must follow up with the student. In cases of possible abuse, you make a report. However, in the moment, we don't act cold or hard, but neither do we stop the circle and ask probing questions or break down and cry. Gently help move the circle along if the student's sharing too much detail, in the same way that you would anytime a student is talking too much and not sharing the air. We live in a society where we can talk about feelings, but we don't like to actually feel them. Modeling the ability to sit with a big emotion in front of your students and not be overcome is in itself teaching. In the context of the circle, the community holds all the happy feelings, sad feelings, and mad feelings of everyone in the circle because this is what communities do. The message to the students is that you're acceptable and you belong no matter how you come to us. You're part of our classroom community, and if you're sad, that's okay. It's important for teachers to continue to create safe spaces for students to express their feelings and take notice if any students seem to be especially struggling. Refer them to the school counselor, school social worker, or the psychologist. Some children will be experiencing larger life disruptions than others, and many with significant losses. Others will have an especially hard time coping with these events because they're prone to anxious feelings or they've had their own trauma history. These students will often benefit from extra support. 5. Practice self-care. We're all trying to find our way during these unprecedented times, and there's no roadmap for what to do or how to feel because no one's experienced this before. Kids take their cues from adults on how to feel and how to manage emotions, and many of us feel unable to provide the guidance they need. Because of this, it's important for teachers and staff to also have emotional support and practice self-care. Holding regular staff circles can be incredibly healing during this time. When a teacher is healthy emotionally, they can model how to stay calm in hard circumstances, how to ask for help, and then reassure students that they're safe and that the adults are there to help them. As we face a return to school, teachers want to be prepared to handle tough conversations and bring their classrooms back to a connected community. The free downloadable classroom circle, Welcome Back from Quarantine, is designed for elementary, middle, and high school, and can even be adapted for staff. You can pick and choose questions that are appropriate for the age group you're working with. Wherever you are, either distance learning or returning to school, a circle can ease anxiety, affirm emotions and relationships, and then help students and staff begin